Today, I'm going to remake the most viral and popular video in this channel ever made from over 4 years ago. 730,000 views so far. Wow! But that video, just like many others I did back then, was just a slideshow. No me, no narration, just images, music, that's it. So, a lot of things are going to change now that I'm here to fully narrate it and present it. You want to know what else changed? Maybe some of the games, maybe some of the order. Who knows, we're about to find out today. Now listen up guys, this video will only include PSP exclusives. Yes, some of the following games were first released for other consoles, but that was only in Japan. These are the North American versions, and this is all there is to it, the PSP versions. So I'm sorry, but no Tactics Ogre, no Final Fantasy Tactics, no Persona, and a big long etc. But since there's a big long etc. of ports and remakes, whose original versions were released for previous consoles here in America, I'm going to make and promise a second video exclusively for those kinds of games. But for now guys, just exclusive games for the PSP. So with all this clarified, let's begin! Number 10. Star Ocean First Departure. Before this, all we knew was the second game for the PS1, always wondering why it was called the second story. Thanks to the internet, we found out that there was a first Star Ocean game but that never came out of Japan. Finally, 12 years after the original Super Famicom release in 2008, First Departure was brought outside Japan. It played very similar to the second story, getting to choose between two protagonists and two routes. Although the game was very short and didn't offer as much as the second story did, it was still a great game. After all, it was cool to finally experience the first game in the series after the development team had created Tales of Phantasia, the first Tales of ever made. This team, called Tri-Ace, back when First Departure came out, was already famous for its Valkyrie Profile series and also some other Star Ocean titles, so when I played this game, it was definitely a gratifying occasion.
It's a big world out there, you know?
Number 9. John dArc. This strategy RPG used to be the king of hidden gems back in the day. It was an obscure game that no one knew based on the historical figure from France. It then started featuring in a lot of videos, so eventually it got popular enough to catch the attention of thousands of RP gamers. All of us who knew it from before were glad to see it succeed, since it was an excellent game in the tactical genre with a very solid and written story and a well-developed cast of characters. And while it takes elements from other classic strategy RPGs, it really feels quite original at the same time, luring you into its story and gameplay the more you play it. Nowadays, it's one of the most sought after RPGs for the system, since it's an excellent game and a highly collectible piece. It's one of the greatest titles for the PSP in my opinion, so give it a chance if you can. Number 8. Phantasy Star Portable. Another action RPG from one of the legendary RPG franchises in history, and that is Phantasy Star Portable. This is the direct continuation of the PS2 games Phantasy Star Universe, making the third in the series and a sequel to both. I remember many people thinking at first that this was an online game, that there was no story or offline mode, and while it does include the online mode, just like its two predecessors, it has a very interesting full story mode offline to play by yourself. Trust me, it's very rewarding. It's one of the best action RPGs for the PSP, far superior, in my opinion, to its sequel, but both games are great nonetheless. However, if I had to choose between the two, well, I already said it. Now, if you haven't played any of the games of this little saga and you come from the Phantasy Star Online era, keep in mind that they play in a different way, less technical and more fast-paced oriented. So with that clarified, try any of the four out and have fun. Number 7 is 7. As the very first Ys game that I actually beat, I have to say it was the one that got me into the series. I love this excellent action RPG with that great battle system and gameplay mechanics most Ys games are known for, with high, fast-paced combat and movement. As usual, you play as several different characters, including the recurrent protagonist Adol Christin. This is a game that I've praised many times before, perhaps because it was the first Ys game I played in which you had party members fighting by your side. Back then, I wasn't a fan of RPGs with only one character the whole time, something that temporarily turned me away from the series. But ever since I played Ys 7, I became a fan, and gave some of the other titles a chance. I will soon play more titles for the Vita, so you can only guess how excited I am. So check this one out, it's definitely one of the greatest action RPGs for the PSP. Number 6. Hexyz Force. I rarely talk about this game since I rarely get the opportunity, but I have discussed it before in some Hidden Gems videos, so every time I get to talk about it once again, I obviously have to praise it. Hexyz Force is a turn-based RPG divided into two protagonists, each with their own story, party members, and route, one being completely different than the other. It features a wonderful plot that doesn't necessarily come out of anime cliches, but keeps them in control to offer a much better story than usual. Battles are played in turns, but some strategy elements are involved, like the position of your characters within a layer. If you've played, The Legend of Legacy or The Alliance Alive, you will notice similarities here in the battle system, although they have nothing to do with each other and were developed by different people. So yeah, check out Hexyz Force. It's a hidden gem and a great title to immerse yourself with. Number 5. Spectral Souls Resurrection of the Ethereal Empires. Yeah, you've seen this game quite often in my videos. It's brutally hard, it's brutally good, and it's brutally addictive. Once again, we find ourselves inside a story divided into 3 branches, each with their own protagonist and army that grows little by little as the game progresses. As you can see, it's a strategy RPG that focuses on building combos to beat the crap out of your enemies. The story includes some anime tropes, but it focuses on mature, political and adult-oriented themes, so it's a very rewarding experience if you're looking for something quite different from your everyday JRPG. Now, a curious thing to say is that 4 years ago when I made the other video, this one was the first place, meaning it was back then my favorite PSP title. Time passed and the following 4 games grew deeper within me, but this one will always have a special place in my list of favorites. Number 4. The Legend of Heroes Trails in the Sky and Trails in the Sky 2nd Chapter. This legendary and already beloved pair of RPGs could not be left behind. They're among the greatest of all time for the PSP, and I'm including myself into its fandom. Sure, they're not the almighty incomparable RPGs as some fans make them seem to be, but they are definitely great. Anime stereotypes? Yes, but man, the story revolves around a huge political situation, extremely well-written dialogues, and a steampunk feeling that emerges from all kinds of cliches to occupy the stage with originality. Seriously, Trails in the Sky has a very long, well-told story that makes up for the rest of its simplistic traits. The battle system, however, is turn-based with some tactical elements involved, but nothing too complicated. Now, this game belongs to a trilogy, but it was the only one that saw a physical release outside Japan. The second chapter is a direct sequel that makes it feel more like a game divided in two and was released digital only. The third game sadly never saw the PSP, but it's fully translated to English and you can play it on your PC. So Trails in the Sky, one of the best trilogies of all time, and games that you definitely should check out. Number 3. Ragnarok Tactics. Here's yet another hidden gem, one that belongs to a highly popular franchise known as Ragnarok Online. That MMORPG from many years ago, so it's very surprising to see that not many people are familiar with it, even though it's one of the best strategy RPGs for the system in my opinion, and probably of all time for portable consoles. You create your own character and get to choose between several different classes to then join in the story that, once again, is divided into 3 routes. Yeah, you already know I'm a sucker for those kinds of story mechanics, and Ragnarok Tactics is no exception. Clearly you can see it's a tactical game that takes elements from the classics in the 90s to create its own formula of skills and strategy. The story is thrown into warfare and political chaos, so this game is highly recommended as well to those seeking a serious plot. Totally recommended. Number 2. Fate Extra. I apologize in advance for what I'm about to say, but I'm not sure there will probably be another chance to say it anytime soon, so here I go. I thought the new anime, based on this masterpiece of an RPG, was terrible. It's just one of those times when fan service totally destroys the experience. But with the original Fate Extra for the PSP, I barely remember it. No, it's not related to Fate Stay Night, even though we see some of the same characters from it, especially Saber, which is the main servant once again in this game. However, you can also play it as Archer or Caster, but those are more difficult paths, gameplay-wise. Now, I've talked about this excellent RPG and its original turn-based system that's based on guessing the attacks of your opponents with a rock-paper-scissors idea. You can also use skills to your advantage, so that only makes things the better. In fact, you might be already tired of me praising this game, so I'm just gonna say it's highly original, addictive, and a very unique RPG that you should definitely not miss. Number 1. Growlancer 4 Wayfarer of Time. I'm a huge fan of Growlancer, a franchise that's extremely unknown and underrated, with an excellent series of RPGs with completely unique and innovative characteristics. This title, however, might be the only one that got some little mainstream attention back in the day, and that it's, to date, considered as one of the best RPGs in the system. To me, it's the absolute best. Extremely hard, but extremely rewarding for having many different routes, which is a perfect excuse to play it several times, obviously giving you high replayability value. That and a million different endings. So since you're already aware that I love these kinds of games, it should be no surprise. Wayfarer of Time might be just the most popular in the series, with a very well written story, gameplay mechanics that offer variety, and a battle system in real-time strategy that gives you tons of unique missions with many different objectives. In my opinion, this is yet another masterpiece and the best in the entire list. That's it, guys. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to share your opinion and your own top 10 below. If there's a game that it wasn't on this list, remember it's probably on your own list. This is mine, and this is the reason I am sharing this video with you. So share your own. Thanks for watching. don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. And see you next time, maybe a couple of weeks or months, for that other PSP video that I promised at the beginning of this one, which I'm going to include only ports and remakes for the PSP. See you next time!